Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, the daily dose of the Trump trial update. I don't know what day we're up to, and I didn't get it out yesterday because yesterday I was live with Megyn Kelly at noon, live on my channel with Eloise Bois, who has filed a class action lawsuit against Google and YouTube for COVID censorship, then Jessica Rose at 3 o'clock, and then I did a Twitter space with Josie, the redheaded libertarian, at 7 o'clock, and so I didn't get to recap the masterful testimony of the star witness of the prosecution in the corrupt New York Alvin Bragg, Soros-funded Alvin Bragg persecution of Donald Trump before the corrupt Judge Juan Marchand, whose daughter is raking in millions, tens of millions of dollars for her own authentic PR firm, her client Adam Schiff, and other political action committees of the Democrat persuasion. Now, for those of you who don't know, Michael Cohen is a convicted perjurer, according to Arthur Engeron, the New York nipple judge in the ridiculous Letitia James $450 million judgment based on the alleged overvaluation of assets for the purposes of fraudulently obtaining favorable loans from banks. Even though no one complained about anything, banks were repaid in full. No victim except Letitia James, who campaigned off prosecuting Trump, went after Trump and got a corrupt judge, New York nipple judge Engeron, and I call him that because he posted a topless selfie of him to his online alumni, which I presume includes some relatively young people, but the dude wants to show off how healthy he is, so he posted a picture of his topless body with the camera in a very curious position to his internet alumni webpage that he hosted, where he also posted links to judgments of his own rulings against Eric Trump. Yeah, okay, fine. I've taken a bit of a tangent. Getting back to the convicted perjurer, Michael Cohen, the star witness of the prosecution, taking the stand for the prosecution. Now, as of the present date, it is Tuesday. Well, that doesn't say what date it is. It is Tuesday, somewhere here, May 14th. Someone's birthday's coming up soon. It is Tuesday, May 14th. The prosecution had not yet finished with Michael Cohen as their witness in chief. So as of the first entire day of Michael Cohen's testimony, he is still the prosecution's witness, and we didn't yet get to the cross-examination, which is going to be mind-blowingly, awesomely entertaining, save and except for the fact that we don't get to view it live. We need to rely on the X scripts, I believe is the word, live tweeting of the trial from one Matthew Russell Lee of Inner City Press. Check out his work because he's doing it like no one else, and we're going to go over some of the highlights of day one of Michael Cohen's testimony in chief. Now, for those of you who may not know, if you've been living under a rock with earplugs in your ears and one of those airplane silky things over your eyes, Michael Cohen was Donald Trump's personal attorney. He had been with him for years. He is a man of questionable ethics, and he alleges that he initiated or facilitated a payment to the adult porn star Stormy Daniels for $130,000 that he initiated to her, that he got reimbursed by Donald Trump, and that they falsified the reimbursement to cover up the fact that it was allegedly a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. They falsified it saying it was legal expenses for the purposes of interfering with the 2016 election, except for the fact that the feds investigated whether or not there was any federal crime here as relates to election interference or unlawful election payments, and they declined to prosecute. Nonetheless, Michael Cohen says that he facilitated the payment to Stormy Daniels so that they could buy her silence, and that in order to cover up the purpose of that payment, they mislabeled it unlawfully as reimbursement of legal fees, which it wasn't, because it was a payment to Stormy Daniels. Now, the only problem is that Michael Cohen is a liar through and through in multiple contexts, proven over years. He's also a bit of a TikTok psycho. I mean, they have these things called TikTok tards or TikTards. Michael Cohen is a TikTard.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, one of the things that we all know, and Brian's far more capable and qualified to say this than I am, but that is that, you know, when you are a witness or a party in a case, normally you're not speaking about the case when the proceeding is gavelled in, and that's exactly what Michael Cohen has done throughout these videos.
All right, and with all that said, some highlights of Monday, May 13th testimony to be followed up with a summary of Tuesday, May 14th testimony. And when we get into the cross-examination, oh my goodness, a summary of the cross-examination. Inner City Press, at Inner City Press, prosecutor, did you lie for him? This is Cohen talking about Trump. Cohen says, yes, I bullied people too. I wanted to make him happy. Prosecutor, did you get additional titles? Cohen, I was put on the board of Miss Universe. I was treasurer at some of the properties. I don't know why he sounds like an old lady, but I'm going to keep this voice anyhow. Michael Cohen takes the stand, and this is like something of a rehabilitation tour before a jury. Oh, I was such a terrible, terrible man. I did everything Donald Trump said. I lied. I bullied people. Michael Cohen was a very, very bad man by his own ethical standards or lack thereof, of his own volition, and we'll get into it when he secretly records a conversation with his own client, Donald Trump, without telling him. I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is Michael Cohen trying to depict himself as the victim when he is, in fact, acting as the victimizer. At Inner City Press, Cohen, the life rights to the story story, AMI bought them from the doorman. Prosecutor, what terms? Cohen, $30,000 to not publish the story. Take it off the market. Prosecutor, did you tell them Mr. Trump would be grateful? Cohen, absolutely. I reviewed the deal. A little bit of context on this particular highlight, and you'll understand why it is my underlying theory that Michael Cohen himself was part of an extortion scheme of Donald Trump. Something of an extortion scheme, my humble opinion. You have the story here about the doorman who claimed that Donald Trump fathered a kid out of wedlock. Everybody knew the story was false. And yet you have Michael Cohen participating in the catch and kill of the story that they knew was false for the cheap price of $30,000 because it was a false story. But Michael Cohen creates work for himself by taking what they know to be a false story, taking it to Trump and saying this could cost you money if it goes public, even though we all understand it's a fake story from a lunatic by all accounts. But Michael Cohen says, look, let's settle this. We'll buy it for $30,000. I'll get some billable hours in this. And so by buying a story that we know is fake, I'm creating work for myself. And Michael Cohen takes this story that he knows is fake, that everybody knows is fake, and nonetheless takes it to Trump and says, we better buy this story. We better make work for myself so that I have what to do in order to kill this story that we all know is fake. And so it's something of an extortion scheme, looking for bogus stories to shop them to Trump, to then make work for himself so he can bill Trump for the work for himself. And who knows if he was taking a piece of the pie on the other end of these deals. That is not an accusation. I have absolutely no knowledge as to whether or not he was or wasn't. All that I'm saying is when you're dealing with such unscrupulous people as this, it is not hard to imagine that they could be finding other ways to make a little extra coin off these deals. At Inner City Press, note, with Blanche making the objections to Cohen's direct examination, it seems he and not Beauvais or Nicholas will be cross-examining Cohen. Prosecutor, did you use Signal for this? Cohen, yes, to stay private. Prosecutor, did you update Mr. Trump? Cohen, yes. And then based on this exchange, we got the fact checker at Monitor Fake, Trump making sure his crimes are hidden by the Signal app. To which I replied at the Viva Frei, it's not, quote, one screen, two films, end quote. It's one screen, two viewers, and the viewers are not all equal in intellect, which is why they view the same film differently. It wasn't Trump using Signal. It was Cohen using it with Pecker. The two people who I am now firmly convinced were the ones who were running the extortion ring on Trump, which explains why they would use Signal, and which explains why AMI signed the non-prosecution agreement with the state, in my humble opinion. So you have Michael Cohen here admitting that he was using the Signal app in his dealings with David Pecker, thinking that Signal is somehow safe and secure when there is nothing on the internet that is safe and secure. If you think Signal is safe, if you think Telegram is safe, and you use it to say things you wouldn't say in text or on the phone or in email, well, you are going to get in trouble one of these days. My goodness, sure as sugar. But you have Michael Cohen using this app to surreptitiously do these deals with David Pecker, who I also think was in on the extortion scheme. But yeah, there are going to be people who are going to misunderstand this as being Michael Cohen using Signal with Trump, or people deliberately misunderstanding or imputing Michael Cohen's very suspect behavior to that of Donald Trump's when it couldn't be further from the truth. At Inner City Press, prosecutor, did Keith Davidson reach out to you? Cohen, yes, I deal with him in 2011 about Stormy Daniels on thedirty.com. She wanted a story taken down. It was on Karen McDougal. David Pecker wanted the $150,000 back. Cohen, David Pecker wanted to get paid back. I met him at his favorite Italian restaurant. He insisted he needed to get the money back. Mr. Trump told me I'll take care of it. Prosecutor, did you have other worries? Cohen, Pecker was mulling leaving AMI, had files. Let me just read that again. Cohen, Pecker was mulling leaving AMI, had files. Translation. So you had David Pecker, the executive at AMI that owned the National Enquirer, that signed the non-prosecution agreement with the state back in 2018, threatening or suggesting he was going to leave AMI and take his files, meaning that he would have the documents of extortion for the purposes of potentially going after Trump or milking Trump. This is all my suspicion, all my personal opinion. But you have bottom line, Pecker threatening to leave AMI with his files, and they need to make sure that they get the rights to all of these stories that could potentially harm Trump or be used to harm Trump. And then we get into the dirtiest of the dirty, hard evidence that Michael Cohen is, was, and probably always will be an unscrupulous and unethical scoundrel, him recording a conversation with his own client. At Inner City Press, prosecutor, did you tape a conversation you had with Mr. Trump about Karen McDougal? Cohen, I did. To show David Pecker that Mr. Trump was going to pay him back, I put my phone on voice memo and walked into Mr. Trump's office. Prosecutor, was he aware? Cohen, no. Appreciate that absolutely nothing makes any sense about that explanation from Michael Cohen, that he went in and surreptitiously recorded a conversation with his own client, Donald Trump, in order to then play that solicitor-client recording to a third party, David Pecker, in order to assure him that he would get paid or reimbursed for the Karen McDougal payment. None of it makes any sense. whatsoever. That could have been confirmed just as easily by three-way phone call, not by surreptitious recording by the attorney with his own client to play to a third party. Now, some people were suggesting that there might be some violation of law. New York State is a one-party consent state, so you don't have to have the consent of all of the parties, like in Florida, for example, which is an all-party consent state. But set aside the law as to the recording itself, I do suspect that there might be other ethics violations as relates to a lawyer surreptitiously recording a conversation with his client. And one thing that I would bet a lot of money on, that is a certainty, is that if Michael Cohen recorded one conversation, which we know he did, he recorded other conversations, despite what he might affirm. This is not a one-off. I only did it on one occasion. This is Michael Cohen surreptitiously recording conversations with his own client for the purposes of potentially extorting them later on. And if we listen to the recording, it certainly sounds like there was a hard edit at the end, but Michael Cohen, the serial liar, claims that the recording got interrupted because of an incoming call from Citibank, and they attempt to prove that in court by showing record logs that an incoming call came in, which is why this recording is suspiciously cut short.
I think this goes away quickly. I think it's probably better do the Charleston thing just this time. Yeah, in 2 weeks it's fine. I think right now it's better. You know? Okay, honey. You take care of yourself. Thanks, Pam. Yep, I'm proud of you. So long. Bye. What's up, Mike?
Great poll, by the way.
Yeah.
Seen it. Great poll.
Making progress.
Big time.
And you guys are good guy.
Oh, Pastor Scott?
I can't believe this. No, Pastor Scott. What's happening?
Oh, no. He's...
Can we use him anymore?
Oh, yeah. 100. No, you're talking about Mark Burns. We've told him to...
Well, I don't mean that. Mark Burns. Can we use him anymore?
No.
Richard Lefrak, I'm sorry, Richard Lefrak just called. He just had, we have a chance, he had an idea for you.
Okay. So we got served from the New York Times. I told you this regarding to unseal the divorce papers with Ivana. We're fighting it. Kaslowitz is going
We
to...
should never be able to get that done.
Never. Kaslowitz doesn't. They'll ever be able. They don't have a.
Give me a code, please.
They don't have a legitimate purpose.
And you
So
have a woman that doesn't want to unseal.
correct.
So you've been handling it.
Yes, and it's
That's
all
been going on for a while.
for about 2-3 weeks now.
All you have to do is delay it for...
Even after that, it's not going to ever be opened. There's no purpose for it. Told you about Charleston. I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to pay?
funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be.
Gets it by
Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no.
At Intercity Press, prosecutor, have you reviewed this AT&T record showing an incoming call to 0114 when the recording cut off? Cohen, yes. Prosecutor, was it the Capital One Bank? Cohen, yes. Prosecutor, was there a longer conversation after? Cohen, yes. I mean, no. And with that, a meme was born. Cohen, yes. I mean, no. My personal opinion, this recording was not cut short by an incoming call. This recording was cut short because what came afterwards might have been exculpatory. My personal opinion, this was by no means the one and only time Michael Cohen recorded a call, and I sure as sugar hope that the Trump defense is subpoenaing any and all other recordings that Michael Cohen certainly made, in my humble opinion, because secretly recording your client is not something you do only once. And then later on, bear in mind, we're still on examination in chief. This is the prosecution's witness. We get to what can only be described as Michael Cohen's personal animus for turning on Donald Trump and lying about lies that he admitted to in the past. Because bear in mind, when it comes to the payment, Michael Cohen claims that he set up a company for the purposes of facilitating the payment, lied on all of the documentation as relates to the reason of that company, the purpose of that company, lied in the past about the purpose of that payment, and he lied about all of those things in the past so that he can now say that those were lies because Trump directed him to make this payment, and he lied to cover it up for Trump, even though he made these statements at the time. It's like his lies at the time were lies, and the reason for which they were lies at the time was because he wanted to later on claim that Trump told him to do it. And if that doesn't really make sense to any of you, that's because Michael Cohen's story itself doesn't make any sense, except to a prejudiced jury, a politically prejudiced jury that's going to choose to believe it despite all evidence to the contrary. Cohen, he cut my bonus by 2/3 and still hadn't repaid me the $130,000. It was insulting. I used expletives to Mr. Weisselberg. I was, even for myself, unusually angry. He said, take it easy. I told David Pecker too. Prosecutor, did Mr. Trump call you? Cohen, yes. Prosecutor, did you then meet with Mr. Weisselberg about the repayment of the $130,000? Cohen, yes. I showed him the First Republic Bank documents and wrote on it plus $50,000 paid to Red Finch for tech services on another matter. Wellichy, this is certainly getting complicated now. It seems that the monies that was repaid to Michael Cohen that they are now claiming were disguised payments to Stormy Daniels in fact include a bonus to Michael Cohen, a payment for Red Tech Services or whatever the heck that was, and other matters not related to the Stormy Daniels payment, all lumped under the legal services repayment to Michael Cohen. So it seems like even the amounts paid to Michael Cohen that they're now claiming were mislabeled because they were hush money payments for the purposes of interfering with an election include other things related to legal services. And bear in mind, all of this, the insult, the injury to Michael Cohen that he was being treated so unfairly, the fact that this payment included other amounts for other services, this is all coming in the examination in chief. We haven't even gotten to cross-examination yet. Anyhow, those were my select highlights of the day yesterday, and I'm going to go try to catch up on what's going on the day today, and I'll give you the update later on tonight. But if you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure your notifications are turned on because I'm not sure how many of you have your notifications turned on. Share my stuff if you like what I do. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com, the best place to support the work that we do. Most importantly, get out there, exercise, sunlight, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
You bad man! You very bad man!